What's up with the Spurs trading away such a talented young player like Dejounte Murray? What's up with that?
Yeah, certainly it's funny, and we kind of wrote about this, myself and our Atlanta beat writer, Chris Kirshner, the idea that as the Hawks were trying to go after Dejounte, them and a lot of other teams were kind of asking that question, like, why is this guy available? Is there skeletons? Is there a problem? And the truth is, there's not. It's two things. For one, they were in kind of NBA purgatory, if you will, just good enough to make a play-in tournament, not bad enough to be, in the game for the best draft prospects out there, including the young Frenchman, Victor, that is going to be available next year that everybody's talking about and who happens to play for Tony Parker's French team. So that is an incentive, but also Murray's deal, $17 million roughly this year, around the same next year and actually just heard an interesting chat with Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report made a hell of a point where he talked about the idea that it was almost Jalen Brunson-esque and from the standpoint that, the Mavs got caught in this in-between situation with Brunson where financially, you go from not being able to extend a guy because his contract is below market, which is like Dejounte's, to then, having to deal with that down the road. And the Spurs were there with Dejounte. It was going to be tough for them to extend him, and then you would just have to hold your breath in free agency 2 summers from now. And so all those things throw them in a bucket, and they decide to rebuild, which is counterintuitive because it's Greg Popovich you're talking about.
Right.
And I do think they wrestled over that decision a lot. In fact, early this week, the Hawks and Spurs were talking. There was momentum on this deal, and then San Antonio went dark for probably 36 hours, roughly. And it was a little strange, and I would love to have been a fly on the wall in their offices, and you're talking about R.C. Buford, their longtime right-hand man of Pop in their front office, and then Brian Wright, their GM. It does for sure sound like they had this extremely robust, debate about rebuild or compete, and they chose to rebuild.
Wow. Okay. So then the Hawks, what a nice move that is for them. What else do you think they can do to get into the conversation in the East, or do they feel this is enough? Where in East with the Celtics, we were all assuming how young and talented they are going to get better, even though they were just 2 games shy of winning it all this year, and the Sixers and the Bucks and the Heat. And I can't wait to see what Pat Riley's going to cook up here. But what do you think the Hawks' next move is, if there is one, Sam Amick?
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that if I was the Hawks would concern me. I understand, Tony Ressler, the Hawks owner, is a major player here as far as, driving force. He's very aggressive at the moment, kind of mandated their front office that they swing big, and they did that. But then, to your point, yesterday as I'm writing this story, and I actually have it in front of me, it's this one line with all the teams that you just mentioned. It says the Hawks must find a way to contend in an Eastern Conference with Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami, and Brooklyn. It's like, ooh-wee. Like, now that Kyrie Irving has opted in, things are still tenuous in Brooklyn, but for the time being, they got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons, and it does sound, I know people might chuckle, but it sounds like Ben's going to play. The East is loaded. The Hawks are going to need to continue pushing. And so a John Collins trade I still expect to happen. I don't know when exactly. Could be soon, could be a little bit farther out. But I don't think the Murray deal changes anything about the Collins situation. And so it's hard to evaluate where they fall in the East, and kind of impossible until you know what happens with that deal. That's a major, another shoe to drop. What are they getting back for John Collins? That's going to have everything to do with their ability to keep up with the Joneses in the East.